Hey everyone, welcome back to the Spector Creative channel. I'm Scott Toy Guru Neitlich, longtime toy maker and toy collector, like you. You may have noticed been doing fewer videos on this channel. I mean, fewer meaning because back during the pandemic, I was doing a video a day, which was, partially out of boredom, partially because I love talking about toys. And I didn't really put myself in them because I didn't think people would want to see me. They just wanted to hear about the toys, but it's been very positive getting feedback on the videos I've been doing recently. And I'm really only going to be doing videos when there's kind of a call for one. And I've gotten a lot of questions in the comments, which I read every comment. I know I don't comment back as much, but I do read them, and through email as well. People asking me why there is so much product out there for the ACOLYTE series, the Star Wars Disney Plus show, when the show's not, well, it was canceled. It did not really get overwhelmingly positive reception. I liked it. I liked parts of it. I liked the lightsaber fights. I liked the Wookiee Jedi. I thought that was cool. It was definitely not Rashomon. I'm a fan. I've watched Rashomon. I'm a fan of Rashomon, and I will tell you, sir, that that series was no Rashomon. No, the concept of seeing things from a different point of view is not seeing more information. The idea is seeing different information. All right. Let's move forward. Sorry, I was a film major. What can I say? Those kind of things always get to me. I appreciate what Akira Kurosawa was doing with that film. All right. So okay, with the show, yes, I think it's next to Hollywood, the Star Wars Holiday Special. It's been the worst performing Star Wars content released, and I mean that's saying a lot. But the reason you are seeing so much merchandise is because every content out there, whether it's Star Wars or Lord of the Rings or Batman or something that's never been proven before, like when Ladybug Girl or and now it's called Miraculous, that was a new IP, or Ben 10 was a new IP that had never been tested before, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. So whether it's a new IP or the next iteration of Ghostbusters or Batman or Masters or Turtles or whatever, everything is a bet. And the bet is, will the content be a hit, and will be hit enough that there will be a spillover for people wanting both to engage in fantasy play into this environment, i.e. kids, and collectors who want to have the sense of accomplishment. I mean, there's not really nostalgia here because it's new content. I mean, I guess it's a little nostalgic because it's an older property, but more so it's what's called souveniring. When someone buys something just to represent that, hey, I'm a fan of this. That's what people were doing with Phantom Menace. I'll link the video at the end of this that I did about that a while back. It was a new play pattern that really emerged, where people weren't buying Episode 1 toys to play with them. They were buying them to just put on their desk and be like, I know this is not an Episode 1 toy, but, I went to the movies. I saw Episode 1. Here's my Darth Maul. Pretend this is Darth Maul. This is probably like the opposite of Darth Maul, right? I don't know. It's funny. I don't have any prequel toys on my desk. What does that say about me? All right. So with souveniring being the main play pattern for collectors, when you don't have nostalgia acquisition, meaning something, buying something you couldn't get as a kid, like mom and dad wouldn't buy this for you, but now I can buy a Hulk figure. Now I have Hulk. I never had a Hulk as a kid. I actually didn't. This is the first Hulk toy I've ever had, but that's an entirely different YouTube video. So one of the things that Hasbro does is they tend to template all of their toy lines. You can see this very heavily if you look back at the early Marvel Cinematic Universe movies. Captain America, Thor, Iron Man 2, they all had the exact same toy line. Basic figure, figure deluxe, 12-inch figure with feature, role play, and then bottom shelf item. And that's the approach Hasbro successfully. I mean, I'm not criticizing them. I'm just explaining what it is. And so they take this approach with Star Wars too. And if you look at all of the Disney Plus shows, they have, for the most part, gotten this treatment. Obi-Wan, same thing. Got a retro wave, got Black Series, and got some vintage figures. So essentially, Hasbro's kind of taking the same wait-and-see approach, where they put out kind of a basic wave in all of their form factors, hoping and betting that the show will be a success. It's really the follow-up figures that like the blurb that just came out for The Mandalorian. That's coming out after the fact. years after the fact, but that's what it is, because it takes 3 years to go from concept to shelf. And that's also the other factor with the ACOLYTE. All of these toys were designed 2.5, 3 years ago, before any feedback on how the show was performing. I think a lot of people in today's, instant a-go-go world and, downloading and instant streaming, it's hard to remember that, toys have such a long development cycle, and it takes years. There's smaller companies can do it very quickly. It's one of their advantages. But Hasbro, Mattel, it's hard to cut corners when you've got a company that big. So what you're seeing, the reason you're seeing so many ACOLYTE figures is because Hasbro has so many scales now. And they're the same bet was placed on ACOLYTE that was placed on Obi-Wan. You can really see the exact same photocopy as far as the SKUs, the price points, the scales, the number of characters. So it's not that they went ACOLYTE heavy, they went ACOLYTE standard. And now that it hasn't performed, we probably, unlike the Mandalorian, which we're seeing after the fact figures, like the Blurg, like the Armorer's Armory, things like that are being done because there's now a fan base for them. And you might say, well, why don't they wait for a fan base to see? Well, then they missed the boat. Let's say ACOLYTE became huge and was suddenly on fire. Well, not having figures out, then you got another Baby Yoda situation. Although in that case, it was because Jon Favreau purposely didn't want Baby Yoda merchandise out before the show. But people look at that as an example of when there wasn't a show-to-shelf connection, which is what it's called in the industry. When you've got it on shelf at the same time the content is out. I think Attack of the Clones and Episode 3 are probably two of the best examples, where the entire line was right out there. There were more figures to come, but you got a huge selection on day one. That was show to shelf perfect. So, although there were some spoilers in that Attack of the Clones stuff, like Jango Fett's head falling off. Sorry, she's a spoiler alert for a 20-year-old movie. So that's it. That's basically, why we're getting so much ACOLYTE. It's because of Hasbro's standardization of their P&L and their production lines, which, again, is not a criticism. That's just what they do. It's the approach they take. And the fact that all the work happened so early on. What we won't see are probably more ACOLYTE figures. What we're still, even the Yanara that was revealed at HasCon, or PowerCon, well, not PowerCon, PulseCon. There's too many cons. There really are. I liked it back when there was like one. Anyway, that Inara is still a figure that was designed 2 years ago. It was just meant to be the follow-up and probably the last ACOLYTE figure. So it's not like, oh, they reacted to ACOLYTE, now they're putting out even more. Everything you're seeing now is designed years and years ago with the same bet. And you lose more than you win. I worked on the Green Lantern movie. We lost. We had a great toy line, but the movie didn't perform, and so the toy line didn't perform. When the Dark Knight Rises, movie did huge. Toys did not, because the movie was very dark. It did not appeal to kids. It had some collector appeal, but that's not enough. So yeah, everything you're betting on, even known properties like Batman and Star Wars, and you're hoping that it becomes huge and that you don't miss an opportunity like retailers did with Toy Story 1, with Baby Yoda. There's lots of other examples of retailers missing, and what you miss when there's a hit is bigger than the windfall that comes afterwards. Baby Yoda again being a sort of I guess a bell curve outlier on this whole thing, because it gets used as an example, but I think it's a poor one at this. All right. See, rambling again. So that's when I'm going to cut this video off. Thanks for watching, though. I hope this cleared up people's questions about the huge plethora of ACOLYTE toys, and why we won't be expecting a plethora of more. But we will get a plethora of piñatas. Thanks for watching. Thanks for sharing, and see you guys in the next video.